Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Yak Geese. Been a little while. I hope you guys all had an awesome Christmas and a great New Year's, and hopefully 2022 brings us a lot of fish and better health conditions and better situations altogether. I know it's been rough. I just pray that you all hung in there and made it through all right, and just hope that 2022 brings a lot more good things in this new year. Um, but yeah, just catching up with some old videos here. I know that we've been out of the loop for a little bit, but just going back to the video of where things could have gotten pretty nasty. Probably the last trip I had on my kayak. I've actually been trying to make the repairs, which we will be showing later in this video, and also some other things that I found that could have been actually more disastrous than anything else. But anyhow, we'll get into that. But I want to first start this video off by going over just the situation that I was running into, because I know that my video was not running at the time, or my GoPro was not running at the time for me to capture the situation I was getting into. So I just took a few snapshots of Google Maps and some nautical charts just to kind of give a brief explanation, just to try to explain myself. Hopefully, it'll help you guys not run into the same problems that I did. Yeah, I wasn't being cautious at all, and that was kind of stupidity on my part. So hopefully, this helps you guys from or prevents you guys from putting yourself in a dangerous situation in the future. But point being, let's just get back into this video here and kind of dissect what happened there. All right, so this is actually just a snapshot from Google Maps. Just did a little quick sketch up with my mouse and snip and sketch. Um, Not very great at drawing, but anyhow, it kind of gets to the point here. The red line here is actually the pathway that I took out. And this yellow X is actually the boat that I was actually trying to dodge in that video. The blue arrows are the forces or the currents that I was dealing with. So at the time, it was actually an out tide, and the wind was actually coming from the south. And what first issue that you run into there, for those of you that are familiar with waterways, and you guys could just skip ahead. But for those of you that don't know, when there's that current clashing, it creates a whole bunch of turbulence and stirs up very big waves. And what makes it even worse is that since the water is rushing on the surface because the wind coming north, and the current obviously rushing out from underneath, it almost creates sort of like an undertow, and it stirs up the waves to be taller in height, and also it creates a weird awkward current where your kayak almost wants to kick out, especially if you're paddling forward. In my case, I was trying to get back in, trying to fight the tide and get back in. It was dangerous because the current was pushing my tail of my kayak away almost north, and I was trying to fight almost west. So it was kicking my tail out, and which was putting me in an awkward position as far as creating more chances or more possibilities for me turtling. So if you had seen me, I almost at one point actually started pedaling reverse, trying to fight the current reverse because I want to see the waves coming in, and I was kind of doing it both ways a little bit because my tail was getting kicked out so hard that I couldn't keep my kayak directed in a proper direction. So I almost like pedaled backwards when for the most part, trying to get back into or try to keep my position really because the current was so strong. But as soon as I saw a big gap and the waves rolling north, I actually turned around and tried to beeline and try to shoot back in and paddle as hard as I could. And really, the point that I was trying to get to, was actually right along this line here and this orange right here, because this seawall right here was actually breaking that current coming north. So when I was way up here, I was exposed to all the waves coming north. But at least when I got past this breaker right here, up to that certain point right there, it created just that one force, the outflow, or the out current, I guess you could say, that I would have to deal with instead of two different directions. So I put myself in this very serious position just getting around here. My thought process was, as soon as I get around this boat here, without knowing the force of the wind coming up, really, because the wind actually almost minimized the effects here, as I was saying, because the current was coming past this wall. I figured that if I could get around and get to this outside part of this wall, that I would be just dealing with just one current and I'll be okay. But the current right here, with the two forces, the two currents clashing, it was it put me in a very bad spot. I could not pedal this way, and honestly, I just kept getting pushed north. I even thought of just getting pushed all the way out here and beaching myself over here, but it was so nasty that I felt like if I just kept going, I wasn't sure how I was gonna land. I just figured it would be short. It would be easier, and safer to try to get back to this point right here where two forces were not clashing. Just to give you an idea, of what actually made things even worse was, so for those of you that are not familiar with Ocean City, there is actually a bar that sits right out here. And what that does is, especially with this north wind coming in, it actually creates, I forget the exact terminology, but it makes the waves bigger. As it comes in from the deeper ocean, it hits that bar and actually kicks up the waves to a higher height, and that big wave actually just carries on, into this deeper water over here, and also with the owl current kicking up, like I guess sort of underneath that wave, it creates a very strong, awkward, current or force where your kayak's wanting to do two different things here. So that's that's really what really made it very dangerous right here. I think if there was one force that I was fighting, even if it was just the wind, I don't think I would have been as concerned. But the thing is, it's the water trying to do two different things that creates a big, churn right here, that really made it a dangerous situation. And obviously, after that, when I got back in, I noticed that I had snapped my idling cable. I'm not gonna say it was because of that. Now I actually found something new on my kayak, so it might have been because of that. I really don't know. But I'll get into the repair parts. But all in all, I put myself in a very dangerous situation. My Mirage drive was not in the condition that it should have been, and it's just, yeah, it just could have been a very bad situation, especially because obviously the water is it was colder at that time. I don't know how the current would have pulled me, whether it would just pull me out into the ocean or if I could have fought it to try to get to the side. I really don't know. But it was something that was very dangerous. So for those of you guys, when you guys are getting into situations or waters that you guys are really unfamiliar with, there's no award for being ballsy or being gutsy, however you want to put it. But just make sure you're familiar with your conditions. Tread softly, be careful, and just do your studies. Like, just know the weather conditions, the water conditions, everything possible, before you get into there, especially in waters that, you are not too familiar with. That's the just general gist of what happened, on that day. But as I mentioned a couple times, we'll get into the repair part now. So let's get into showing you what I found, what happened, and how I went about repairing it. All right, so let's get into that.